podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
You're listening to Achtung Millwall, broadcasting from the beautiful South Birmingham. Accept no substitute.
Hello dear listeners, welcome to part one of Achtung Millwall's coverage of that excellent 1-0 win at Kenilworth Road on Saturday morning. Apologies, I'm a touch late today, listeners. Life has got in the way of my podcasting habit. Apologies for that. But it's Monday and I thought it might be nice to take this opportunity ahead of me speaking with Merv later to do a review of some of the voice notes that have been sent in the wake of that hard fought, shall we call it, a 1-0 win at Luton Town on Saturday, much needed after a pretty tumultuous and slightly depressing week at Millwall. Obviously we had the loss last Saturday, then followed up with that 2-goal capitulation for a draw in midweek against Cardiff, and a lot of sniping online about players and performances and questioning. I mean, I'd include myself. It's nice to be able to do a show that is a touch more positive than some of the recent editions, but that's a reflection of what we've seen on the pitch. And I thought Saturday's performance was a real statement, if you want, from a squad that has been under a lot of criticism, online particularly. We'll get some notes on that over the course of these two shows, but also, of course, in person. I mean, the Den is not a place where people just resort to online messaging. They will tell you face to face where you're falling short, and it's been pretty much of a grind, in my opinion, of late following Mill. How do you see it, listeners? I've personally felt that it's been a bit downbeat, and that's a shame because the squad that we have contains some names that have done a lot for our club, and for it to finish up as was happening in midweek with the likes of George Saville copping a lot of criticism for poor decision making. Let's call it that. I think it's a shame for it to reach that stage, but there we are. That's football. Saturday's lineup. We'll do a quick review of the game, and then we'll lead into the voice notes. Saturday's lineup: Lucas Jensen in goal, back line, makeshift back line really, with Tristan Kramer in his makeshift right back role. Jake Cooper captain, Jeff Tanganga and Joe Bryan making up the back four. In front of them, maybe surprisingly for some, what do you think? It's surprising for me that Saville holds his place. Saville and Denor in the defensive two positions. In front of them, some were calling this inexperienced. I mean, Duncan Watmore is experienced. Bangura Williams in the middle attacking midfielding role. I thought he really stepped up to the mark Saturday. Bangura Williams, Watmore and Scanlon, who would meet a sticky conclusion to his game, sadly injured. Up front, the big Serb, Mihailo Ivanovic. No Langstaff on the bench. Apparently he's taken a knock. I thought these were big calls to include Saville and Watmore, two players that have been taking a real pasting, a beasting almost online. It was a big call by Alex Neil. Some might say that his hand is forced by there being not many other options, but I still think that was a big decision. Injury crisis making an impact. It's a massive game for us on Saturday. I think that to put the rot to that 13-game stretch with just one in it, one win in 13, to put a stop to that and to hopefully try and take some optimism down to Portsmouth tomorrow night was massively important, and we achieved that. The strange game, scuffly game, as the commentator said, cliche City, not one for the purist, and it certainly wasn't. There wasn't an awful lot to report apart from the substitution in the 16th minute of Callum Scandon, in came Aaron Connolly, who I thought did really, really well for me. We'll come back to him, obviously, because that's not the complete picture, but I thought overall, Connolly coming in for the unfortunate Scandon who pulled up, but I thought he looked the part, he looked influential, listeners, and he looked like he's got quality on the ball. As has been widely publicised, the boy is sorting his life out at the moment. Good luck to him on that front. And one way you can do that is to turn in good performances, and he did on Saturday, I thought. Not an awful lot in terms of action to report to you until 28 minutes when Connolly's shot was blocked as a chance for the first real chance of the game. A block shot for Aaron Connolly. Luton responded within a minute of a header into a melee of Mill players. 29 minutes, another shot from Connolly on 30. It was all go. Suddenly we went from famine to feast. And then one of the crucial moments of the game really was the award of a penalty on 32. Connolly was clipped inside the box quite clearly. I said penalty watching on TV. I wasn't at Luton, but I could see it clearly on TV. And penalty awarded, and it's a rare penalty from the Mill perspective. And such a shame that Connolly decided this was the moment to grab the ball, take it forwards, and try and do a Panenka on the Luton goalkeeper. Unfortunately, the art of the Panenka, Aaron, if you're listening, mate, I am no footballer, but I do know you've got to lift it off the floor and send it down the middle. You can't just put it down the middle on too low a trajectory, because the goalkeeper got his legs to it and saved it. And I must admit, listeners, I bet you two felt this way. I thought we'd missed a big chance there to get ahead. And I was starting to get a little bit itchy and scratchy, as I like to say. A late chance in the half for Luton header over near post header, but not huge amounts to report. They did mention, I don't know if this is true, I'll take it to be fact, the Sky TV commentary team, which consisted of Sam Parkin and Ian Aver. I don't know who the other bloke was, kind of like a generic commentator. But they said that was the first penalty that Connolly had taken in his club career. Club career? Or does that mean Millwall career? I don't know. Strange if that is so. I think clearly he was desperate to make an impact, and he wanted to get his Millwall career up and running with a goal. I can't blame him for that. And his judgment went walkabout. I don't know, because to put a low trajectory ball down the middle, you're leaving yourself open for it to be safe, which is exactly what happened. So half time, 0-0, and I must admit, it wasn't really a comfortable. It wasn't a game that was going to arouse any great excitement, but it wasn't a comfortable situation either. A couple of headers wide for Luton in the early part of the second half. Terrific move on 58. Connolly finding Watmore with a shot wide, and as I said already, Connolly, I think, has been taking a bit of an obvious slating because of his lifestyle, the things he's been trying to sort out. He's been into rehab, and that leaves people wide open to have a dig at him. But that was it showed a lot of touches, a really nice move on 58. What I would say is that Luton were poor, and you've got to caveat everything in this match report with that, because they really weren't up to much. But they were bombarding us in the air, and if you keep on putting the ball into the mix with big boys on the end of the crossing, then however low quality your strikers are, you're going to get something out of it. And they were looking increasingly, like they wanted to turn the pressure up on us in that way. And thankfully, we scored a beautiful goal on 60 minutes. You would have seen it quite a lot now on social media. It was a lovely move. Bangura Williams spraying the ball out central to the right to find Mihailo Ivanovic, and some really top level quality control. He took it on his chest, built it under control, and then looped it in from, it looked like about 25 yards out from the right side of the penalty into the bottom left corner of the goal. Beautiful goal. A lot of debate about Ivanovic, and obviously he fell foul of Neil Harris's judgment a little bit for being inexperienced, not his pick. But I do think the boy has something, listeners. He has got a goal-scoring instinct. We've seen it with the header off the floor versus Dagenham. We've seen it with the way he was it Derby, when he broke out from defence and slotted in an equaliser late in the game with aplomb. This was a beautiful goal. He tends to score big, important goals, and I think he's got goal-scoring nous, and that's a massive thing. I think he's got about 4 goals now. I don't know if he's the top goal scorer for the club at the moment, but he will be in contention for it if he carries on like that. I would like to have seen him take the penalty, to be quite honest. But there we are. So yeah, beautiful goal. 1-0. It's going to be one of the goals of the season for Millwall, and rightly so. A volley over, or saved actually, on 68 minutes. Kramer, who looked really good, I thought, through the game. Crossing from the right, caught by Eva, that's my nickname for him. I can't do this Miha business. Or the BFS, is it? The big fucking Serb. I don't like that one. I like Eva. I'm going to go with it. That's my show. So that's what you're going to get. Eva volley saved. And largely that was it for a little bit of scuffly save. Jensen in the 85th minute, a header over the bar. Unfortunately, Jensen had to leave the action on 91 minutes, listeners, injured, bringing in Liam Roberts, sorry. I'm getting lost in my Liams and Callums. For the last few minutes of the added time. And that's a shame. I'm hoping he's not too badly injured. I think he's done really well to turn his season around after a very nervous start, Lucas. And I think he's looking better and better as the season's gone along. So to be injured and to leave the action, I don't know if he'll be fit for tomorrow night at Portsmouth. It wouldn't surprise me if he's not. And then we'll find out, the level of quality of reserve we have in Liam Roberts. But yeah, shame. So 2 more injuries to add to the Kenilworth Road Butcher's Bill. I don't know if they have like a bill of mortality they used to have in the Great Plague, didn't they? We have like a list published on the gates of Kenilworth Road training ground of players that are not available, but it's going to be a very extensive list, a long printed document there. It finished 1-0. Excellent 3 points, 34 points, takes us away from the hint of the bottom that we were flirting with, and takes us 3 points closer to the kind of self-appointed 50-point mark, the safety zone that is generally felt to be enough. I know it's not always enough, and you can't depend on it, but I think we can nudge closer and closer to that 50-point mark. 16 more points to go. We should be able to be reassured in good time. So basically, what's that? 5 wins, 6 wins, and we're going to be in the zone. Overall, tough game. Luton were poor. It wasn't a glittering display of football, but if you like your English football full on, hard and committed, then it was, and I do, and I bet you do too, if you're listening to this show on any kind of regular basis. In terms of an away performance, it was brilliant. The away support, incidentally, I don't know how many went to Luton, but really loud and came across well on television to the kind of professional Luton favourites. They've got this thing, Sky, that it's Kenilworth Road is like the last character stadium in English football, and that somehow Luton are consequently lovable. The co-commentator was Sam Parkin, who he did play for Millwall, but I always get the sense he wants us to lose, and it might be paranoia on my part. Probably is, but to be a Millwall fan is to be slightly, paranoid, isn't it? But anyway, Neil Harris was one of the pundits in the studio, and fair play to him, because he was not particularly happy with Eva as a signing, and he didn't play him enough, in my opinion. When he first arrived, but he did have the generosity of spirit to say that the goal he took, which was beautifully controlled, was a proper number 9's goal. And fair play to Neil Harris for saying that, because maybe, now he's away from it, maybe he's cooled off on the situation. I don't know. But fair play to him for that. So there we are. It finished 1-0. Lions move up a place or two, but crucially put some points water between us and the trailing 3 in the division. So onwards to Portsmouth tomorrow night. Let's keep our fingers crossed that we can get points and a result down there at Fratton Park. I did read that Portsmouth took a pounding on Saturday, and they'd rested a lot of their squad ready for the Millwall game. So I don't know the wisdom of that. I don't know, but let's keep our fingers crossed for a good showing again from the Lions for tomorrow. So this is the voicemail show, dear listeners. So that was my assessment of Saturday's win. So we're going to go now to, let's have a listen first to Bobby T and then Barnesy. Take it away, Bob.
Nick, Bobby T. Good morning or good afternoon from sunny West London. On the way to work, just thought I'd be very simple and frank with you. Best podcast in the world. Yeah, I'll be frank, honestly, today, the lineup baffles me. Is Kramer up front with Ivanovic? Is he right back? Cooper's playing, Kramer's playing, Tatanga. Is it 3 centre-backs, 4 centre-backs? Cooper, Tatanga, Kramer, Brian left back. Anyway, all I know is today It's win or bust. It's win or nothing. I don't want to lose. I don't want to draw. And Kelly on the bench, I'm liking that. Don't know where he's come from, but Kelly on the bench, Leany on the bench. Honeyman, where he belongs, Honey Poo. Anyway, all the best, Nick Hart and the Millwall team. Hope for a win. This is my analysis. I'm not going to say nothing, but I'm praying for 3 points. Bye for now, Bobby T.
Hello, Nick. It's Barnsley here. Just thought I'd give you a quick message about yesterday. A bit more happy call than all the other ones from last week. We, after the last kick in the bollocks at the end of the game against Cardiff, it was a very, very good performance. I thought we looked comfortable with all the injuries we've got. The French guy's come in and done so well. He should be applauded because, he doesn't know these players. He's been out there and he's come in. He's a centre-half playing right back. And wow, what a job that man's done. And we should be applauding that fellow. He's done so well. Not easy coming into a new club, but he's hit the ground running. Just hopefully he can stay fit because, he's going to be, looks like an absolute steal getting that player in. Back four was very, very good. Tenganga's having a right old battle with Morris up front. And, he's an horrible player, isn't he? But he's the kind of player we would like to have. But it's a great battle between them two. And I've got to say it, Brian thought he was brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And I'm not a massive fan of the Coffee Man, but I thought he played really well. And I think he should be applauded as well because he's had some stick and his free kicks are still poor. But still, it was a really good performance by Brian. And, the whole back four was good. Obviously, Jensen, still problem with the corners, as we can see in the second half. But hopefully his injury's not too bad. But Roberts, I think he's a good keeper. He played against Portsmouth last time, so hopefully he can do the same and keep a clean sheet. But he's a good goalkeeper. And, blow to lose Jensen because he's been good. But hopefully it's not too bad. But we will see. Obviously, Scanner's injury, another blow, that poor lad. Just feel sorry for him. But, we'll talk about us getting new players in. I think we need to get an extra physio in the way things are going because we are up against it with the room, I think, in the physio room. So just hope these players come back because we're going to need them and we need some loan players in, as I said the other week. But, Denore, Saville had to put in a big performance and I thought he was good today. And I think Denore was, they covered every blade of grass at Kenilworth Road. I thought they were very, very good. And then in the midfield, obviously Scannon went off, Connolly come in and he was brilliant. I watched him against Hull. I thought he looked unfit, but today he was good. And can't score from 12 yards, but he had the bollocks to go up there and take it. It was a bit of a blow. A bit more lift on it, it would have gone in. But, he didn't get his head down. He kept running and, he was defensively, he was good as well. So that's what we need. And we are going to need those players to come in and hit the ground running because we are, very, very short of numbers. BGW, not his most influence on the game today, but he was good. He set up the goal again. He's turned out to be a massive player for us. He's only played 3 games, but he's got that pace, he's got that skill, and he's been brilliant. And then obviously, I thought Watmore done okay. He's not my favourite player, as I say, but he worked hard today, and he looked dangerous in the first half. I thought he was very good. And then obviously the man up front, Ivanovic, brilliant. I know you don't like big Serbs, so we're going to stop that. But he was good. He held the ball up really well. And it's a few touches, even the whole game, where I thought he was laying it off, but there was no one anywhere near him. But today he got the ball out from, big clearance, got it down, laid it off, and then didn't stop. He ran, and then BGW found him, and what a finish. We've got to remember, that guy is 19 years of age, and he's asking to run hold the ball up, be a 19-year-old up front for Millwall Football Club. He's a young lad. He's never played in this league before. And, we're very quick to slag players off us lot. But we got to get behind this man because he could be our talisman now. Because to finish a ball like that, he's got confidence and he's young. He's an alien to this country. He doesn't know it. We've got to give this boy a chance. And boy, what a goal that was! Absolutely brilliant. So we've got to get amongst him when the ball gets up to him. We've got to get around him to help him out. But he's to do something like that on a big stage like that, it's been brilliant, and I'm really pleased with him. We're all happy. Let's keep that run going against Portsmouth because we need to get some wins and we need some players. We all know that. And yeah, that's going to be the big thing. We've got a week left of the window. We need to get some quality in. We need a number 10. We've got money. Hopefully we can spend some, because we are going to need it to this season. We've got to stay up. That's the big thing. And if we can stay up, we can build on next year, because there's a lot of players out of contract that it's going to be a big rebuilding process. But very happy Sunday morning, and we go again on Tuesday. Take care, mate.
Achtung, Millwall.
Thank you, Barnesy, and thank you, Bobby. Before Barnesy, it's nice to have some positive calls, listeners. I don't like being miserable. There are some people in this life, obviously everyone has their ups and their downs, but I think sometimes people almost revel in misery. It's almost like a drug almost. I don't like being miserable, and I do not like being negative. So it's really nice to be able to report back with some positive news. Let me caveat that again. Luton weren't the best team you'll ever see in your life. They were a grind of a side, and they bombarded us in the air. I thought we did really well. I think Barnesy mentioned the central defenders, Tristan Kramer. I mean, his central defender turned into a right back, but what a player he's turning out to be. But also in the centre, I was just looking at a clip before they started recording. Jeff Tanganga and Lucas Jensen combining with a chance where I think Jensen had to say the block was made, it looped up in the end. Jensen kind of batted it around, kind of like you might do with a basketball, putting it out into touch as it was looping towards goal. Some really strong defending against some big old lumps. That's what Luton were, really. They were physically strong. The ball was played direct and hard and high, and we stood our ground against them. And that's wonderful. And as I think Barnesy said, comfortable in the end. Some good performances. I just want to mention Jules Saville, if I may, listeners, because he took a pasting, rightly so, because of some strange decisions he took in the week against Cardiff. I'll never know what was going through his head when he's laying on the floor, but we've moved along. And he answered that, and he's put it straight, and all you can ever do is that. You can only ever make your apology by turning in an appropriate performance in the next game. That's what Jules did. So I want to take my hat off to Jules Saville, and also to Joe Bryan. There's another player that's taken a pen, and I agree that it was one of his better games there, Barnesy. So good stuff. Ivanovic, that the level of control, the ball was brilliant that was played from Reece Bangura Williams out wide. And as I think you said there, Barnesy, 3 games in, and suddenly he's the new Romain Esse, who we've also built our one creative outlet, has now been replaced by Reece Bangura Williams, and suddenly he's our creative outlet, and he found Ivanovic brilliantly. It was a lovely ball. Have a look at it if you haven't seen it already. I'm sure you have seen it on YouTube and on social media. Beautifully played wide right. And taken fantastic. And I mean, if it's a cliche to say this, but if it was in the Premier League, they'd be raving about it, or if it was in the World Cup, they'd be raving about it, because it's at Millwall, not so much. But it was brilliantly controlled, and then brilliantly put away from distance with a looping kind of volley. Really, really good goal. And I do think the boy is a prospect. He's clearly got a lot to learn. He is 19, as we've said. He is, in a very different footballing culture, different culture generally, away from home in Serbia, language, culture, everything, you name it. So he's got a lot to learn, but the basics are there. We have to be patient with him. He needs support. He needs good coaching. I think he's going to get that. We just have to give it a little bit of time, and I think he will come good. So I wanted to say something, because obviously in the previous show I was talking to Merv, criticising a little bit some of the signings that we've made under this new football kind of approach. We're buying talent cheap and selling inexpensively. The 2 signings we've made this week, Tristan Kramer and Aaron Copeland, both look like they've got value to be added to them, and they do look like they fit into that kind of model. So I've got to take my hat off to the recruitment team. If you're going to criticise, you should be prepared to say well done when it's appropriate. So in those 2 cases, from what I've seen of them so far, They look two really, really strong players. A steal, as Barnesy said there. So, Kramer signed from Brentford, and Copeland clearly trying to rebuild a career. So we've caught him if he can carry that on. It's not the finished article by a long way, and the kind of issues that he's had, you always have to almost approach every day anew. But both players look like good quality players. So hats off and well done to the recruitment team for making those signings. Because I think you should be fair in this life, and if you're going to criticise, you should also acknowledge where it's being done right. So well done. Big thank you, Barnesy. We're going to move along now. Let's have a listen to Glyn Horner.
Hiya, Nick. Glyn here. So nice to have something positive to talk about finally, eh? I think let's just get it out of the way. The injuries, what a shame. I mean, it is absolutely atrocious losing another two players in today's game. I mean, you know, I think with Lucas Jensen, we've got an able replacement in Liam Roberts, so I'm not, not too concerned about that. I hope that Jensen comes back though, because I think he's starting to look more and more confident. And yeah, sometimes he comes for crosses and doesn't quite make it, but I'd rather have a keeper who's full of confidence and arrogance and going for these things rather than one that's sort of prevaricating and stuck on his line. And I think Jensen's really come on this season. So, chance for Liam Roberts to hold down the spot, but shame to you lose Jensen. Scanlon obviously didn't look good, did it? I think fingers crossed that it's not going to be too long, but it didn't look good. And I think that means then that we've got a shortage of left-sided wingers that can play for us. Maybe Mayer comes back into contention. I mean, I thought he didn't do too bad, to be honest, against Dagenham. So, I wouldn't mind seeing more of him. Whether he's ready for a full 90 minutes is another question, but I guess that's something for Alex Neil to decide. And then finally, I think for all those people that have been, getting on Gallen's back about the recruitment, I mean, you've got to look at the players that really shone out today. Connolly, he missed a penalty, but that was a good striker's performance. He was linking up the midfield and the attack very effectively. He was getting back and contributing to the defence as well. He just looked a quality player, and the ball stuck to him, which was tremendous. And there could be a really good partnership with him and Ivanovic there. You certainly saw that. Kramer just looked class. I mean, what a find. I think if Kramer keeps developing the way he is, I mean, he could potentially not be playing in defence, I think, in future. I mean, it was a tremendous performance. And I'm looking forward to seeing him develop as well. Consistency, that's something he's got to prove. But based upon the two games that we've seen of him, he looks an all-round player, which is really impressive. So all in all, very positive, great result. And I think the future's starting to look a bit brighter if we can just stem these injuries. Obviously, a couple more signings now, I think, are going to be needed to plug the gaps in the squad, and hopefully the recruitment team can put out some emergency signings just to plug those gaps. They wouldn't have planned for that because obviously they wouldn't have known these injuries were coming. It's going to be a challenge, but let's see what they can do. Come on, you Lions.
Yeah, Nick Hart will be team. Milo, the big so 1-0. Come on, whoa.
Nick, Matt Richards, just dialing in my thoughts after that game. Wow, very, very important 3 points. Well, the points are more important, but I thought it was a very good performance as well. So important. I mean, the whole club has felt really down recently for the right reasons as well. Thinking of Cardiff coming back during the week, that was just absolutely sickening. But we really, really needed that. I know it's obvious, but we really fucking needed that. So I'm really pleased for us as fans. Pleased for all the fans that are up there. I watched on the box, but pleased for the club, Alex Neil, and the players really. And I thought we played well. As I say, it was a good performance. Luton are still a tough side to play away from home. Particularly, you look at their forward line from set pieces, they look so dangerous, and arguably they should have scored a couple really. So we defended well. Canberra. No, it's Kramer, isn't it? Kramer, yeah. Sorry, like the film, isn't it? Kramer versus Kramer. Kramer played really well. He was right back. It's not his natural position, but I thought he did well. And so that's positive for the future. That's not his position, obviously, but it's positive just to see how decent he is on the ball and he gets stuck in. I thought midfield did well. I thought Connolly did well coming on. He's Scanlon was really unlucky, obviously, another injury, and obviously Jensen's gone off as well. Connolly looks quality. When you think we've replaced Bradders with him, you can see just from his touch and control that he's a better footballer than Tom Bradshaw, which shouldn't be a surprise really. No slow on Bradshaw, but and it's good that he lasted the whole game. Obviously, just poor penalty. But in a way, I kind of like his confidence that he just took the ball immediately and said, "No, I'm going to take this." It would have been better if he buried it in the corner rather than doing this, straight down the middle. But it's positive first signs, like it is for Kramer. It's a patched up side out there. Bangura Williams has only played 3 games, Scandon 3 games. Ivanovic, it's his first season in British football. As a 20-year-old. So they did really well today. And and going on to Ivanovic, I thought, it's a great goal, wasn't it? It just shows you, the boy's got quality. He's got class. I've always said it. You can just tell from his touch. Yeah, he needs to work on bits and pieces, but he's a raw 20-year-old. When was the last time we had a 20-year-old score 4 goals for us in championship level football? Halfway through the season, we haven't. If this boy hadn't cost us 2.5 million, then we'd be raving back, wouldn't we? So the price tag, I think, does affect some people's opinion of him. But great, really pleased for him. And once he scored the goal, his confidence just moved up, 4 or 5 levels, didn't it? Really, you can see with his passing, his touch. So really, really positive. Don't want to get too ahead of ourselves. 24 hours ago, everyone's in doom and gloom. But I think you can see that the signings that come in. Today's performance made a good impact today. It's another tough game we've got away. Another team fighting for survival down the bottom against Pompey. But the same sort of performance, same battling performance. You can see us nicking something there. And we do need it just to pull away from those relegation places. So so pleased, so relieved. You can't. You're counting down the last few seconds, thinking, oh, fucking hell, what's going to happen? Is it going to be another Cardiff? But we got over the line, didn't we? We did it. Excellent stuff. Come on, you Lions.
Matt's asking there, when was the last time that we had a 20-year-old or 20-something-year-old score 4 goals and look so make such an impact in terms of scoring? I'm looking at Chris Wood, listeners, who's a lone striker for younger. If we have any younger listeners, I don't think we do. I think it's all old gits like you and me, listener. I'm looking at names like Chris Wood and another name, Neil Harris, for that kind of impact as a youngster and scoring goals. 2 big names to step in, big shoes to step into there, of course. But I don't see any reason why, if the boy Ivanovic can develop, can probably build his physique, he's got to get strong. The championship, looking at those lumps in that Luton side, he looks a bit willowy sometimes, doesn't he? And he's got skill, and he's got nous, and he's got intelligence, but he looks a bit willowy up against these, almost like the skinny guy trying to get into the nightclub with the kind of shithouse bouncer outside. You're not going to get through it. That's where I think he needs to bulk up a little bit. And I think he's going to need to work with the Mill coaches to develop that sixth sense. I'll build on it, I should say, not get it. He's got it already, but he's got to develop it and bring in, the dark arts to his game and falling over and getting free kicks, that kind of thing. That's where the boy's future lies. But I do think we've acquired a good striker, and I think it was Glyn speaking about the criticism of Steve Gallen of late. And I've made the point already, but I will repeat it because it's worth making. In Tristan Kramer and Mihailo Ivanovic, two very different players. And I think Ivanovic obviously needs more nurturing and a bit of tender loving care to bring out his full potential. But I do think we've got two decent signings there, listeners. Aaron Connolly really impressed me when he came. He was influential, and to not allow the penalty, which I think he probably freely admit he made a mess of, but not to let that get inside his head. And the little voice that I read the Tony Cascarino book a while ago, and he refers to the little voice, the one that tells you you're going to miss this one. Contrasting with the likes of Teddy Sheringham, who he said never had the little voice. He did. Teddy didn't. But not to let that little voice that may well be in Aaron Connolly's head, I don't know, not to let that get on top of you, I think is tribute to the boy. So I really wish him well. I hope he can work it all out because he deserves to. So big thank you to Glenda, a bit of Bobby, and then to Matt Richards there. Great stuff. We're going to go up to the advertising break now with Lawrence Binney.
All right, Nick, it's Lawrence Binney here calling after Luton Town 0, Millwall 1. That was a turn up for the books, wasn't it? I think, like most people, I feared the worst after Wednesday, conceding a 97th minute equaliser to a fellow relegation struggler. Or are we in a relegation struggle? I mean, I suppose that's the point of contention. I mean, 1 week to the next, seems like the table's changing pretty markedly. Shows how tight it is down there at the bottom. But yeah, I really feared that we'd, especially in an early kick-off in front of the cameras, that last-minute equaliser against Cardiff really would have knocked our confidence. But I think it was anything but, really. Considering how thin the squad is, that was a really organised professional performance. And I think actually, more than that, we started to show the quality that we do have, or make the most of the quality that we do have. Tristan Kramer, I know he's a centre back, but he's looking like a natural on that right hand side. He looks really, really composed, very technical, very able player. Sort of a Waitrose Murray Wallace, if you will. Ivanovic, I think he battled really hard in that first half and made himself available. He's still looking a little bit waif-like, shall we say, but God, that quality is there, isn't it? And it's just about being patient with him and nurturing it. And I think similar to Bangura Williams, who I think struggled to get into the game at times today, but like when he did get into the game, he made that quality count. And that's what you sort of see with the best players at any level. Like it's not about it's all about sort of showing that quality when you do get those chances, and it was really, really lovely to see. And considering how one-dimensional Luton were, I think we created a better range of chances than they did. Well, I'm not saying we were great, but looking at what we had out there, I think that was a really fantastic performance. And I think the squad, team can have a lot of pride in their performances today, their display today. Just on regards to like the injury front, I know we do have a lot of injuries at the moment. Losing your two first choice, well, your only two right backs, does sort of indicate that maybe fortune is not on your side. And I'm hoping the Jensen injury isn't long term, as well as the Scanlon injury. But I think actually, on the whole, if we had a decent squad, I wouldn't say that we have an injury crisis, because we're really only kind of lacking in one or two areas at the moment. That midfield is basically all there, aside from Aziz. Amaku's not a starter. Copen isn't ours. So yeah, we are being hit by injuries, but I think the real issue is the fact that the squad doesn't have a lot of quality in it, even without the injuries. And so those injuries feel worse than they are when they do happen. But yeah, there were kind of green shoots of hope and optimism coming out of today. And let's hope we can get some business into to bolster that squad, because I mean it's a great result today, but we are still in the mix. So yeah. All right, well, roll on. Oh, what is the next game? Portsmouth Tuesday. Oh, they're going great guns at the moment at home, so that'll be a tough one. But yeah, we can get a result there. Come on, you Lions. Thanks, Nick.
Achtung, Millwall.
I like that description, Lawrence, of being Tristan being a Waitrose Murray Wallace. It sounds like it's a compliment, but it might not be one. It's hard. It go round in circles on that one, a Waitrose Murray Wallace. But I like Murray Wallace, and I like Tristan Cramer. I think that he looks a real prospect, listeners, and I'm amazed that Brentford have let him go. But there we are. That should be our gain. Their loss, our gain. The green shoots of optimism is a wonderful addition to the positivity of this show, Lawrence Benny. So big thank you for that. Reece Bangura Williams is a really interesting player. He's going to draw the heat a little bit, listeners, because he loves his ball tricks. He loves his footwork. He loves slightly taking the piss out of senior pros in front of him. And he was taking a little bit of attention from Luton. They were a very physical side, but he still found it within his game, Reece, to find some space, and the ball that he floated through, threaded through to Ivanovic for the goal, was a thing of beauty. And that ability to, for players to be trying to push you out of it, but you still somehow find a way back in, is a big attribute. I really like the look of this boy, and without heaping too much pressure on his shoulders, he looks like the ideal replacement for Romain Esse, who incidentally scored, didn't he, for Crystal Palace on his Premier League debut. But anyway, he's gone. So well done, RBW. That sounds a bit like a bank as well, RBW. But it's easier to say than Reece Bangura Williams. So big thank you to Lawrence Binney before the break there. We're going to now play three together. We're going to go Rufus Rankin, David Liederkramer, and then we'll finish with Rob Woodford.
Hello, Nick and listeners. Just a few comments on the 1-0 win against Luton today at Kenilworth Road. First half, I thought it was quite an evenly matched game. I thought we were really good, especially at the back four. And I thought we did some really good defending against Luton, because they did get into the game at some points and showed some threat, but we managed to block that out. And it was quite evenly matched, and we made some really good attacks down that right-hand side. I must say, Watmore did get into the game quite well at times, and Cramer was really good at right back today. He was very, very good. Definitely worthy of man of the match. But my man of the match goes to Tanganga, who I thought was absolutely solid at the back today. He was absolutely brilliant, and I think he's a player who could be captain, I reckon. So I think he really sort of communicates well with the back line, and I think he really shows that resilience. And got into the box a few times in the first half, and Aaron Connolly won us the penalty, and unfortunately he missed it, but I thought he really did redeem himself well throughout the second half as well. I thought he played very well in that 10 today, and that's his main position, playing as a striker or playing in that 10, playing in the middle of the park. That's where he'll thrive, and I think he'll be a very good player for us once he gets some more minutes. It was a shame about Callum Scanlon going off. Hopefully he's not out for too long, as he was just getting back into it, and he had looked good the last few games he's played. And it was a shame about Lucas Jensen as well going off. Hopefully his injury isn't too bad either. And yeah, second half, thought we started to show a bit more attacking threat than Luton did, and I thought we played quite well. And then the goal come along, a brilliant pass by Bangura Williams over to Ivanovic, who took the shot, and what a lovely goal that was. Probably his best goal he's scored yet for us. And it's great seeing him thrive and come into the team really well after coming from Serbia in the summer, new country, new league. He'd had to learn a lot since he came over here, learn a new language and everything. And for a 20-year-old, I think he's settled in very, very well. And I've said before, I think he's more of a player that will come into it even more next season. So I think this season is him sort of learning the way and stuff. more of a learning curve, him getting settled into English football. And next season is where he'll really kick off more. But he has got some good goals this season so far, and it's great to see him getting the goals and getting chances as well. He's got a little bit more about him as well, because he's always getting to those areas where he can take a good shot, and he can have some very good skills, especially in that FA Cup game against Dagenham with that goal he scored. And today, wow, what a goal! But yeah, I've been really impressed with him since he signed. And I thought everyone played really well today. I thought Saville redeemed himself a bit after what happened on Tuesday. I thought he played well in the middle of the park today, and thought everyone played well, really. The back four was absolutely solid, and we managed to shut Luton out quite well. I mean, they did have a few attacking threats, Luton. Lucas Shentz had to pull off some good saves, but I didn't really think much of Luton. I thought we were the better team overall in the game. But great 3 points that, and we really needed it. But on to Tuesday night at Portsmouth, where we'll need another win, hopefully. So come on, you Lions.
Hi Nick, David Liederkramer here on a much happier Sunday morning than last Sunday. I didn't go to the game, but obviously I saw it on TV, and I thought that although the actual quality of football was pretty average, that we played pretty well at times. And of course, Ivanovic's goal was absolutely spectacular. What a great bit of technique, and what a fantastic strike. I did laugh at Harris though on Sky, sort of praising him, because all the rumours were that he wasn't made aware of the signing before it took place and didn't actually think he was up to it. Well, Harris knows a lot more about football than I do, but I would say, looking at Ivanovic on the evidence I've seen this season, the boy definitely has something. Yes, he doesn't always get into games in the way that a more experienced pro would, but he's got that little bit of X factor that I think we need at Millwall, and he has scored some very important goals this season. Not many, but the ones he scored have been really very good. I did like the look of Aaron Connolly. Goodness knows why he took the penalty. I'm sure others have commented on that. It was a crucial time in the game, and actually we really should have scored more than one. But apart from the penalty, I thought we had an excellent game, and he just really gave us that attacking drive that we've been missing. As for the injury as well, I don't even know where to start. Scanlon clearly is going to be out probably for the rest of the season, unless the hamstring injury is less severe than it looked. As for Jensen, I've no idea how long he's going to be out for, but we really are down to the bare bones, so we're going to have to bring a few bodies in. I think Portsmouth will be a tough game. They've rested a lot of players for that game against West Brom, where they got spanked. They obviously regard the game on Tuesday as a must-win for them, which is probably right. Let's hope we get something out of it. And onwards and upwards. Come on, you Lions.
Whoa, that is a big, big win, and takes the pressure off for a while, especially when I expected a draw at best, right? Well, Tanganga was my man of the match. I thought he was immense and came out on top of their danger man, Morris. And our goal was really special. I thought the boy was unlucky not to start the last game, to be honest. And he's really growing in confidence now, isn't he? And to be honest, it didn't look like it was a back against the wall job late in the second half, did it? And you know, we really managed the game out well this time. Crammer looks a really positive signing on the basis of his two performances so far. And Connolly looked a much brighter spark on this showing. And of course, with a point to prove. Banger Williams, we mustn't get carried away, but he already looks like he belongs in the Championship. Now, the injury list might be long, but the old team spirit is back, and Alex Neil looks happy with it all as well. So let's take this renewed confidence to Fratton Park under the lights, if they work this time. It's our game in hand and a chance to put even more daylight between us and the trapdoor. Then a final week of transfer speculation and an attractive-looking game against QPR which should sell out, really. Nick, I enjoyed your last brilliant commentary from Birdshit Corner, especially when there's a dip in play and you start to vividly describe the said bird shit and indeed the spider's webs you share the space with. It's brilliant, mate. These descriptions reminded me of listening to Test Match Special over the years when commentators like Johners or Blowers or Aggers used to describe buses coming round the Vauxhall end at the Oval or the gas holder going up and down. Keep it up, mate. You're a smooth operator.
That's high praise, Rob. Blimey, I've never been put in that kind of sentence before. Yeah, there is a lot of spiders' webs up in that corner, but I'm not making a big deal out of it, Mark Fairbrother. If you're listening, I learned my lesson taking up the issue of bird guano with the previous incumbent of the role, and it never ends well. But there we are. Some good points being made. Rufus and David and Rob there. Big thank you to all three. Rufus, I think, said make Tanganga captain. I suppose it's going to depend if we keep him, Rufus. That's not still, it's not cut and dried, is it? He's under contract, of course, so he's with us, but we don't really know how the transfer window's going to unfold, or if an offer comes in for him. Probably, or possibly, I should say, I don't know, but possibly from a higher level. I think he would find it hard to resist Premier League, lower level Premier League money. I would find it very hard to resist it, and I'm sure you would do too, listen. So I think a lot depends on whether we keep him. I think he'd make a fantastic captain, to be honest. Repeat point, Luton were very poor. That said, they had the look of a strong League One side that were prepared to put the ball into the mix and throw their big boys after it. And, at a place like Kenilworth Road, this old school kind of stadium where you walk past somebody's back toilet to get into the side stand, that's probably a very effective tactic. They've really come tumbling down, haven't they? I mean, they were in the Premier League last season, and now they're looking like they've got every chance of League One football next season. So I think they saw it as a big game, and we prevailed. I think that's the big takeout from Saturday's performance. And as David said, overall we played well to achieve that. Neil Harris, yeah. I think Neil's caught between two stools. He is a fan of Millwall Football Club. His heart belongs at Coldblow Lane, listeners. And I think that it was evident during his time as manager, the two times as manager. I think actually it can almost be damaging that if you care too much, you tend to take every trial and tribulation as a personal thing because you care about the club and you care about the fans, and it almost becomes almost too much. I think sometimes you need a slight professional detachment. I'm hoping that that Alex Neil will maintain that professional detachment, because I think if you get too dragged into the whole Millwall thing, it can be a little bit counterproductive. And I don't know if Neil Harris would agree with this point, but I think at times you can care too much in life, in many different directions in life generally, but especially at a club like Millwall. But fair play, he did take his metaphorical hat off to Ivanovic for what was standout skill. The control and finish was the promise that we've all been looking for. So the boy's still got a long way to go. Callum Scanlon, I haven't really mentioned Callum Scanlon. Others have mentioned it across this show. Yeah, what an unlucky boy. I don't know how bad the injury is. I'm hoping it's not too bad, because he's just come out of that back injury. And you don't want to be that player that is always injured. There are some players, I think possibly Josh Coburn is in danger of falling into being that player that's always in the treatment room. Good players, but in a different ways. But a lot of injury and a lot of treatment doesn't really do your footballing CV any good. I hope that Scanlon, whether we'll see him in a Millwall shirt again this season, I don't know. I really do wish him well. He's a good prospect. I can't see it working out for him at Liverpool. So if he is interested in coming to us and we can sort the medical side of it out and get a contract accordingly, then you know, he looked the way he finished in against Cardiff was top order. So I wish the boy well, and I hope that he gets good, and I hope that maybe we can sign him. There's a lot of hoping going on there, listeners. And finally, of course, Rob Woodford there. Pint to made me laugh, and it's cruel. I shouldn't laugh, listeners, but it made me laugh. I can't help it. Big thank you to Rob. I just want to finish this show. We're going to be doing another recording with Merv in a little while. So if you sent me some voice notes, you will be in that show. If you weren't in this show, listeners. I also want to mention the very kind people at No One Likes Us Clothing, which is noonelikes.us.co.uk. Noonelikes.us.co.uk. We've teamed up with them to do an Achtung Millwall T-shirt. We've got it's a basic kind of design on there at the moment. I'm going to do another design at some point over the summer months, I think, to liven it up a little bit. But I really appreciate the help of Martin at noonelikes.co.uk. We're doing an Achtung Millwall T-shirt for 15 quid on there. 8 quid, listeners, 8 quid of that 15 will go to the Lions Food Hub as a donation. Martin's doing these T-shirts at pure cost. You know, I take my hat off to him. Obviously, postage and packing will come extra on top of that, but the cost T-shirt gives an £8 profit for the Lions Food Hub, which is fantastic. So if you want to support the Lions Food Hub and you need a T-shirt to go to the gym or go out for a run, lounge about in front of your loved ones, or even just use it to wash the car with, it's a great way to help support the food hub. Achtung Millwall T-shirt, have a look at it. I've put a link in the show notes for this show. And it's also, they've got plenty of other gear that is really nice on there. Noonelikes.co.uk. Check it out, listeners. I want to say a big thank you to everyone for the content today. We're going to be coming back with a second show later on. I'll be talking to Merv, Monday with Merv, when we'll be considering yet more angles and ins and outs and nooks and crannies of Saturday's 1-0 win versus Luton Town. On to Fratton Park tomorrow. Until then, dear listeners, from me, Nick Hart, it's Arrivederci Millwall. Bye for now.
Done and dusted, Nick Hart. Bobby T live from Howard on the rooftop. You fucking hatters. Gosh. Mihailo. The third 1-0. On to
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.